Karen's having an issue with my hiking saw. The forest trail was alive with the crunch of leaves underfoot and the sharp scent of pine, a crisp reminder of why I loved these weekend hikes. It was July 12, 2025, and my mates, Tom, Lena, and a couple others, were trudging along with me through the hills just outside town. The sun was dipping low, painting the sky orange, and we were setting up camp after a solid day of trekking. My backpack, heavy with gear, clinked softly with every step, the bow saw strapped securely to the side. It's a sturdy thing, that saw, with a blade tucked safely in a custom cover I'd rigged up years ago after the flimsy plastic one broke. Here in my country, the law's clear, blades under 5 centimeters can be carried freely if you're not out to cause trouble, and longer ones are fine if you've got a legit reason, like cutting firewood on a hike, and keep it stowed properly. I'm careful, always have been. I teach kids outdoor skills, for God's sake. I know how to handle sharp tools. We'd picked a clearing near a stream, perfect for a fire. I was kneeling by my pack, untying the saw to cut some branches we'd gathered, when I heard her voice, sharp, like a crow's caw cutting through the evening calm. "Excuse me, young man." I looked up, and there she was, Karen number 1, in hiking boots too clean to have seen real trails and a fleece jacket zipped up to her chin. She was maybe 50, with a bob haircut that screamed I need to speak to the manager. Her hands were on her hips, and she was glaring at my saw like it was a live grenade. "That blade on your backpack," she said, pointing, "it's dangerous. A child could hurt themselves." I blinked, caught off guard. My saw was strapped tight, the blade fully covered by a leather sheath I'd sewn myself, way sturdier than the cheap plastic ones from the store. It took effort to get it off, and you had to pull at just the right angle. No kid was getting anywhere near it. I stood up, brushing dirt off my knees, and forced a polite smile. "Ma'am, it's secure. The blade's covered, and it's fastened to my pack. It's not going anywhere." She wasn't having it. "That's not the point. You're walking around with a saw. What if a child grabs it? You need to think about others, not just yourself." Her voice was loud enough to make Tom, who was setting up the tent, glance over with a raised eyebrow. Lena, poking at the fire pit, mouthed, "What the hell?" I've dealt with Karens before, people who see something they don't like and make it your problem. My usual tactic is to nod, fake a fix, and move on. Confrontation's not worth it, especially not in the middle of a hike when all I want is a campfire and some instant noodles. "I hear you," I said, keeping my tone even. "I'll double-check it's secure." I tugged at the straps for show, knowing they were already tight as hell. But Karen wasn't done. She launched into a full-blown monologue, pacing in front of me like she was giving a TED talk on child safety. "It's irresponsible. You young people don't think about the consequences. I have kids, and I'd never let them near something like that. You should be more careful." On and on she went, her voice echoing off the trees. I glanced at my watch, realizing my train back to town was leaving in an hour. I just nodded, muttering, "Yeah, okay," until she finally ran out of steam and stomped off toward her own campsite, muttering about reckless kids these days. Tom snorted as she left. "Mate, she's got no clue. Your saw's safer than her attitude." I laughed, but it stung. I teach outdoor skills to kids, knots, fire building, basic tool safety. I've had that same saw around 8-year-olds, showing them how to cut kindling under strict supervision, and never had an issue. My setup's bomb-proof, and I'm certified to handle and teach sharp tools. Karen didn't know that, didn't care. She just saw a saw and decided I was a walking hazard. I shook it off, cut the firewood, and we had a cracking fire going by dusk, but her words stuck with me, like a splinter under my skin. The hike was amazing otherwise, clear skies, a decent climb, and Lena's terrible campfire stories that had us all laughing until we couldn't breathe. But the Karen encounter lingered, and I thought that was the worst of it. Then came the trip back. Sunday afternoon, I was at the train station, my pack slung over one shoulder, the saw still strapped to it, covered and secure. I was beat, sore legs, sunburned neck, and a desperate need for a shower. The platform was crowded, families and hikers milling about, the air thick with diesel fumes and chatter. I was checking my phone, texting Lena about the weekend, when I heard another voice, this one softer but no less annoying. "Excuse me?" I looked up. Karen number 2, maybe 40, with a scarf tied like she was auditioning for a travel magazine. Her eyes were locked on my saw, her lips pursed. "Yes?" I said, already bracing myself. "Are you from here?" she asked, her tone all fake concern. "Yeah?" I said, confused. Was this about my accent? My dusty hiking gear? I was ready for some nationalist rant, like I'd get a lecture about foreigners or something. "You have a saw on your backpack," she said, pointing like I didn't know it was there. "Is that really legal?" I sighed, my patience already thin from Karen number 1 and a sleepless night on lumpy ground. Yes, it's legal, I said, my voice flat. The law says blades under 5 centimeters can be carried without issue if there's no intent to harm. Longer blades are fine if you have a legitimate reason, like cutting firewood on a hike, and it's not easily accessible. This is a bow saw, covered, strapped to my pack, and I'm certified to carry and teach with sharp tools. It's for camping, not trouble. I hadn't meant to recite the whole damn law, but I was tired, and her question felt like an accusation. She blinked, clearly not expecting to run down. Oh, she said, her voice faltering. I was just worried you might get in trouble with the police. Yeah, I'm good, I said, turning back to my phone. Thanks for the concern. She hovered for a second, then walked off, her scarf flapping like a flag of defeat. I leaned against a bench, shaking my head. 2 Karens in one weekend, both obsessed with my saw. Did they think I was out here waving it around like a lunatic? It's a bow saw, not a machete. It takes minutes to unstrap, and the blade's so secure you'd need a crowbar to get it loose. I've carried it on dozens of hikes, taught kids how to use it safely, and never had an issue until these 2 decided to make it their mission. I wondered if they knew how much energy they wasted, sticking their noses in my business. Probably not. Karens never do. On the train, I stared out the window, the countryside blurring past. My pack sat on the seat next to me, the saw still strapped tight. I thought about the kids I teach, bright-eyed, eager to learn how to build a fire or carve a stick. They trusted me, and I trusted myself to keep them safe. That's what mattered. Not some busybody ranting about hypothetical kids or imaginary laws. I pulled out my phone and typed a quick note to Vent, thinking I might post it on X later. 2 Karens in one weekend, losing it over my hiking saw. Can people mind their own business? When I got home, I tossed my pack in the corner, the saw still attached. I'd clean it later. For now, I just wanted a hot meal in silence. The hike had been worth it, the views, the laughs, the crackle of the fire. But next time, I'd be ready for the Karens. A quick apology, a fake fix, or maybe, if I was feeling spicy, another recitation of the law. Because out here, in the woods or on the train, I wasn't letting anyone ruin my day.